How you doing? Let's put the tenor sax down. I can say hello to you properly. So this is the way we do it at 2 meters. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Willkommen. Hola, hola, hola. That was Send in the Clowns, of course, Stephen Sondheim. Another bunch of tunes for you. And once again, I'm going to say it again, dedicated to NHS workers, all the key workers, everybody who's out there doing their best to keep everything going, keeping us fed and healthy and alive while we're busy isolating. And I hope you're in good health and looking after each other. I think, like last night, let's start with a bit of relaxation, because like I was saying, these are such worrying, edgy times, and everything comes higher, and we breathe too shallow and too high. And one of my jobs is to relax you guys and give you a break from it and take you away. So do it with me. Come on, I'm watching you. Let's little shoulder roll. Feel the clicking and crunching if you were anywhere near my age. Reverse. Shake it out. Start to breathe deeper and lower. And let's do the breathing thing. So we're going to breathe in through our nose if you can. It's always more healthy, filtering the air. So count to 3 on the in, hold it for 3. 3 out, hold it for 3. And we'll do it a couple of times. And keep those shoulders nice and relaxed. So with me, come on, I'm watching you. And out. And hold. hold. Let's do it once again. Shake that one out. So, a few of you were asking where we are. We're in a little village in North Lincolnshire. We're down the shed, the studio in my back garden. And it's just me in the studio. Techie Joe's over there keeping an eye on me and making sure all the wires stay in place and the internet keeps running. Out there's a pond with some newts in. I like to check on the newts every day, and they don't seem to be bothered by what's going on out here. And some days I don't see any. Once I saw 8 in one go, and they're mostly those smooth ones. But there's a great crested one too. He's called Isaac. I'm surrounded by saxophones here. You can't see them. I didn't move the camera because it's wedged in place by a rubber band and a spare jack plug. So otherwise I was going to whip it around so you could see Techie Joe, but I can't do that. Too risky. It did fall off yesterday, but not while we were streaming. So that was the tenor sax, Daddy. I'm going to move to the alto. And a piece I wrote a while ago, I actually wrote it for a duet, did a short but wonderful duo tour with the wonderful Jess Gillam. And I think actually this is the first tune that I wrote for that project. Called Swampy Dog. Right. Need to click your fingers. You doing it? It's a bit swingy. Nice swingy jazz click. Oh, it's hard work, this saxophone playing. Need to play one that doesn't need so much puff next time. Actually, that wasn't supposed to be a link, but it'll work as a link. So I'm going to go on to something which demands a bit less puff. Well, actually, thinking about it, it demands a completely different kind of puff. Who's there? Lots of people are there. Robert, hey, thanks for the donation, mate. Angela's here. Angela Smith. Hi, Letty. And Chris Ayer, my hero dentist. He's loving it. Sue Chan, haven't seen you for a while. Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay, so this is the shakuhachi. the end blown Japanese bamboo flute. 4 holes there, one on the back. That's where the roots were in the ground. Very delicately carved mouthpiece, the utaguchi. And although it's a flute, it's not as we know it. You play it end blown. That's what we say. Forward. And I'm quite new to this. I've only been playing it for 20 years, and I love it to bits. It's a challenge, but in a good way. It's really massive long history to this instrument. It's history which is steeped in Zen Buddhism and really spirituality, religion. We think it came over from China to Japan in something like the 7th century, and then really took off a few centuries after that and was used by the Zen monks, a particular sect who called them, well, I don't know if they called themselves it, but they became known as the Komuso, that's it, the Komuso, the monks or priests of emptiness or nothingness. And they were wandering monks, they were itinerant. And they played for alms, for tips, and played in the course of their search for enlightenment. And the process that they went through was called Suizen, which means blowing Zen. You're familiar with Zazen, which is seated Zen, sitting, thinking, debating problems and issues. Suizen is blowing Zen. They call it the search for the one pure note, which of course doesn't exist, or does it? I don't know. I'm not going to find it today. And the techniques are really different from the Western flute in more ways than that difference. We had a lovely saxophone workshop earlier on today, and talked a lot about vibrato. And vibrato for the sax is like chewing the cud. You do it with your jaw, and with a regular Western flute, you do it with your gut. Call it a gut vibrato. So you're the same as the voice. You're pumping your diaphragm to produce those pulses. But on the shakuhachi, it's a process called yuri, and you actually nod your head up and down, which occasionally I take all these instruments into primary schools. In fact, I was supposed to be in one today, Cotham Primary School. I don't know if anybody's watching from there, up near Redcar, I think. I've never been there. I never got to go there. It's in my diary for today. It makes the kids laugh when they see the old head bobbing. So watch out for that technique. And also, we've only got the 4 holes, as I showed you. So in order to enable the player to get many more than 4 different tones, there's a process called meri, which is a bending of the head, which allows us to get the in-between notes, the semitones. So, along with everybody in the world, everybody's plans are shattered and lives are turned upside down. And I actually would have been going to Japan in a couple of weeks' time and seeing the cherry blossom. Obviously not going now. And cherry blossom is so dear to the Japanese people's heart, and it's a wonderful time of year to be in Japan. And when this instrument finally crossed over from religious music into the secular world, it became used for Japanese classical music, often heard with the koto in the theatre, the No theatre, NOH, with the white makeup and the funny, strange hats and things, and also into their folk culture. There's a lot of beautiful folk tunes, and you might recognize this one. It's called Sakurai, which means the cherry blossom. There's a kind of little sadness to it, like a sad edge, like wistfulness, you could describe it maybe. So I feel it's somehow inspired by the blossom, but also the passing of the blossom, when it starts to die away. I might be completely wrong. In my mind, that's what it is. And so I'll improvise for a bit, make some stuff up, and then drift into Sakurai. Sakurai, the cherry blossom. I'll whip that out again some other time. It's such a beautiful instrument. I was going to go back to the tenor sax and play a piece called Forget the Porridge. And of course, there's a story behind this. It's a piece of mine. In that same Buckingham studio that I used to have, the one where the mice half hit my headphones. Once again, the studio was down the bottom of the garden, and like all good sax players, well, I'm not saying I'm good, but like good sax players should do, I try and get a bit of practice in before breakfast if I possibly can. So I have one of those special porridge pans, like a pan inside a pan. And you know the idea. You've got your oatmeal and your porridge mix in the top one, and water's boiling in the bottom one. So that takes quite a long time to do your porridge that way, especially if you're using coarse oatmeal. So what I quite often do is put my porridge on and nip down to the studio, just start my practice off a few long notes, and then 20 minutes, half an hour, I'd know that the porridge was going to be nearly ready. I don't mind telling you this, because I'm going to play the tune. And anyway, yeah, I'm going to say one day I just completely forgot it and came back to an hour and a half later to a completely blackened pan. And hence the title, Forget the Porridge. I mean, my memory's so bad. Maybe I actually was messing about with this tune on that day. In fact, I think that's what happened. Because quite often, I'm sure many musicians are the same. You start your practice and you do your long notes and settle in and you run a few scales and things. And but then you just go off on one and start improvising. A little tune pops out. You go, ooh, that could be all right. And you work on that for a while, and then suddenly time has passed. Actually, my porridge is a bit notorious anyway, and it's regarded with suspicion and perhaps you might say almost horror by many. Because I do chuck some weird stuff in there. Well, I don't know about it. It didn't seem weird to me. I put broccoli in my porridge, and I put ginger in it, and I put sesame seeds, and a few flaky things like morn flakes, I think they're called, and a few other seeds, pumpkin seeds sometimes. Mix it all up. Bit of coconut yogurt. Good to go. But do you know what? I don't think anybody's ever accepted an offer to join me in my porridge. So I do, but actually lasts me 2 or 3 days. But I remember, I think this happened in Buckingham as well. Back in the old porridge pan days. I do it different now. But I'm sure, like you, and especially at a time like this, I hate waste. I'm sure you do, and I try to recycle everything. And I made far too much porridge one day, and it was too thick as well. So the next day I stir-fried it with some onions and tomato. And do you know what? It was horrible. It really was horrible. I think that's enough about porridge, but I would like to play the tune still. Forget the porridge. Dun, 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 dun. I just have to remind myself of the tempo, not having a drummer with me. I'm hoping that as things get back to normal, which they will, if I keep this going, I could, we're encouraged to travel a little bit more. Maybe I could have a musical buddy in here with me and we could do a duo or a trio for you. That would be exciting. Anyway, meanwhile, forget the porridge. Okay. Somebody sent me applause. Thank you, Joe. Oh, actually, Joe, I think you sent me money earlier on as well, didn't you? Checky Joe and my mate Craig, they said, you got to monetize it, mate. And actually people were saying, how could we give you money last night? So it is now possible to give me money. But that was not the reason that we decided to do this. Stay in touch. I think there's all kinds of links where you can find me on Twitter and find the website and all that sort of stuff, because it's just another way to stay in touch, especially in these times, isn't it? And it'd be really great to hear what you're up to. And Big Colin Smith, Lindsay Archer, Stephen Shursby, Phil, you found me. Good man. Shiro Sunset. I did that last night, but to be fair, you weren't with me because I hadn't told you. But another time, because I did enjoy playing that one. And John Reed loves the music, but he's not sure about the porridge. I don't blame you, mate. I'm sorry about going on about the porridge so much. I had a bang on my head today. I don't know how I managed it. I managed to bang my head on the freezer door. And then I came up to the studio and I walked in and I thought I'd been ransacked. I thought I'd been burgled overnight because there was stuff everywhere. And a shelf had fallen down overnight with all my music books on it. And my DIY, man, shocking. At least it didn't fall on anybody. I think it's a general thing with musicians, you know. My buddy Andy Gangadine, unbelievable drummer, terrible at DIY. And he's a long-haired fella. And it's not funny at all, but he turned up to an M-People rehearsal one day and he had a big patch of hair missing there and it got tangled up in a power tool. So why I'm laughing? I mean, I suppose I'm laughing because he came out of it in one piece, but oh man, DIY musicians, it's just not good. Not good at all. Richard and Anna out there again. 10 points from the South Yorkshire jury. Awesome. Now, having bemoaned the fact that at the moment we can't travel, we can't see each other, we can't do gigs, I'm so missing. Gigging is the most important thing to me outside the family, and we miss it badly. And I miss my musical chums, and maybe one day I'll be able to get them to travel over here and do something with me. But meanwhile, I've got them in the computer. Got a backing track for one of the songs that we did on the Hysteria CD. It needs the little soprano sax, which is right over there. So I'm going to dash over and get it. Baby sax. I think I introduced you to baby sax last night. The soprano. Toys R Us, $9.99. It's actually a finely crafted, beautiful instrument made by Yanagasawa, as are all my saxophones. And it's so cute. They're usually long and straight, and the curved ones take people by surprise. Often at a gig, people will say, "What is that tiny sax?" But if you stretched it out, it would look more normal. It would look like the soprano sax that you're more used to seeing, like a metal clarinet. This is becoming a habit, says Malcolm. A good one, obviously. Porridge sounds great, the tune, but not the recipe. Great gig in Richmond. That was the last gig up in the Georgian Theatre in Richmond, North Yorkshire. Beautiful, beautiful theatre, and didn't realise at the time it was going to be the last gig for quite a while. So, back to the little soprano. And I was telling you about the sax workshop we had this afternoon. And I was really highly recommending to the guys and girls that attended that to use lyrics and to use the idea of the way vocalists tackle a tune in order to play with more expression and more feeling and more passion. And quite often on my music stand, if I have anything, usually I have nothing, but if I have anything, it's more likely to be the lyrics to a song than the actual written notes, tablature, score. And so I was thinking about what I'd been telling him today. So I'm going to play a tune by Danny Wilson, written by Gary Clark, great songwriter. It's called Mary's Prayer. So I brought the lyrics up. So I've got the lyrics on my computer here. So because there's quite a lot of them, and I realised that over the years I've played this for a long time. But when I first recorded it and used to play it, I memorised the lyrics, but I've forgotten them. So I've put the lyrics up. So if you see my eyes go down there, that's what I'm doing. So one or two people requested this last night. I think Sally Anderson requested this, and I know it's one of your favourites, Kath. So it's for you, and I really hope up in Stokesley, North Yorkshire, I hope you're gaining in power and strength every day after that operation, and lots of love to you, and lots of love to everybody out there, and thanks for being with me. So let me see if I can find the boys in the box here. All right, go make sure I press the right buttons. Checky Joe's keeping an eye on me. Mouse eating headphones. Oh, I got excited, then moved my head too fast and lost one side of the headphones, but hopefully everything was all right out your end. So I've had a lot of fun these last 2 nights, and so me and Joe were thinking, well, when should we do it again? And I was going to leave it a day or so, but then I thought, let's just keep it rolling because, well, I don't want to be dark about it or anything, but who knows when we're going to lose the internet or I'm going to get sick. Anything could happen. So let's keep it rolling. Let's do another one at 7 o'clock tomorrow. And because it's fun. And, you know, I miss gigging so much, and so many of us are banged up at home. So it's just an opportunity to get together. That's the way I look at it. And it feels real. Like it's almost as though last night I was in Aberdeen. Tonight I'm in Southend, you know, typical tour schedule. But actually I'm still here in Sleepy Wootton. But it feels real, and thank you so much for your comments. Joe straight in, yes please. Okay, we'll make it a date. So 7 o'clock tomorrow, more applause. Yay, says Sue. Yay, says me. How do you match the sax type to the tune? That's a good question. In other words, you know, I take a tune, decide that I want to play a tune first and foremost because I love the melody. Then I'll often just try it on soprano, I'll try it on tenor, I'll see what feels right, try it on alto. And quite often that'll take me a little while, you know, days, weeks, and I might change after a while and say, oh, I could try this on alto. And because each of the saxes, obviously they differ in range, in pitch, not in range, in pitch. And obviously the little tiddler's a lot higher. It's an octave higher than the tenor, which is the first one I played. But they have different voices too, different characters, different characteristics. And different tunes lend themselves to different instruments. So that's the answer to that one. Jeannie says, great gig, but missing the delicious snack at half time. Yeah, missing the intervals, because sometimes we have gigs with a human audience down here, and Sally and Andrew do this delicious food in the interval. We wander around the garden and schmooze and then play again. But that'll come again. That'll come again, Ginny. And Ron the blind guy, my mate Ron, from right down in Devon. He's there. He's a sax player too. And will I wear the snaky t-shirt one night? That's a good idea. Oh, lovely. Who else is out there? Janet Williams says beautiful. Chris Folks. Fantastic. Sue Bruce. Thank you, Sue. That's kind. Fab. Well, I wanted to just introduce you to the last sax in the family. I've played 3. I didn't deliberately get all the saxes out, but the tunes that I picked for today and a couple of the ones that you requested, tying in with the question, they lent themselves to different saxes. So I've ended up surrounded by 4. And I've left the biggest till last. And actually, Colin and Kathy from up in Snod's Edge, where I should have been for 2 days last week, which would have been glorious days. They requested a bit of baritone. Happy to oblige. Well, I'll whip it out, show it to you, and talk about it for a little bit, and then blast a tune down. Easier said than done. The gigantophone. The sludge pump. The golden handbrake. It's flipping heavy. I'm going to play this without bashing into something. So one of my favourite baritone sax players is Lisa Simpson. You recognise this one? The Simpsons. We had a Simpsons Sky today, didn't we? And the fact that I was supposed to be up in Coton Primary School today, and the request for the baritone sax, it reminded me of another primary school story. I really have a lot of fun going into the schools, and I spent an enjoyable but challenging 3 or 4 hours up in Biggin Hill Primary. It's over the bridge from here, in Hull. And quite often after I've played in a primary school, I'll get a big brown envelope full of letters from the kids. And this is years ago I played over there, but it was memorable as much for the letters as for the actual gig. Because it is a gig. Going to play for the youngsters is fantastic. It's just as exciting as a real gig to grown-ups. I love it. And so this lad, he wrote to me. I kept it. I wrote it down. And he said, "Dear Mr. Snake," he said, "it was a pleasure for you to play in our school." I like that one. And he said, "Oh yeah, because give you the backstory. This lad had requested The Simpsons, and I'd never tried to play it before. I can busk most things, but it's a really difficult tune. I made a right pig's ear of it." And he went on to say, "You had a good go at The Simpsons, but you wasn't very good at it." But then he sort of cheered me up at the end. He said, "You're like the best musical player ever." So really, really fantastic to see you guys. Thanks for anything you've chucked in my tip jar. That'll put food on the table for little Techie Joe. Oh man, I know so many of us have lost so much, haven't we? The gigs are all gone. They're all gone. But we're still here, and we'll look after each other. I want you to really take care and look after each other. Kath, you get strong soon, and yeah, I hope you all got enough to eat and stuff to keep you going. You've got plenty of jigsaws, and we'll get through this. See you at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So send me your messages, stay in touch, have a look at the website, all those things. It's been lovely to play for you. I'm going to kick the chair back and stand back like the blue touch paper and play, what shall I play? I'll play Watermelon Man on the baritone saxophone. I'll say goodbye to you before I go. I expect I've chopped my head off. Doesn't matter. Oh, that's it. I'm truly knackered, truly out of puff. So, saying goodbye. Take care. Kiotskeda. Matane. Thanks for being here. Look after yourselves.